Right now I'm putting on my GT4 front bumper. This bumper came from the 94 to 99 Celica GT4s, if you don't know already. Things that I'm having to do. Read on some forums, I actually bought the original bumper support, also known as the crash bar, this is the one that's off of my car. As you can see, I cut, so there's the cut marks still. So I cut the old one. It had 3 of these sections, so I cut off the bottom one, so there's only 2. Following this is on the 6gc.net forums. There's a long, very good thread. I'll put that link to that thread in the description. It's missing a couple pictures because it's back from 09, I think, was when it was posted. 08 or 09. But yeah, so I cut this whole thing off with the jigsaw, regular jigsaw. Well, DeWalt jigsaw. Everybody knows a DeWalt jigsaw is not a regular jigsaw. I say that jokingly. It kind of is. I'm saying that because of the DeWalt brand. Anyway, so first things first, I had to cut the bumper support. I've got this all thread and this angle aluminum bar here for mounting my new intercooler. This one, I've got this ridiculously fat intercooler behind it right now. As you can see, it's huge, and I've trimmed away some of the plastic back here, which is these little pieces behind the grill, behind the fog light holder, and that stuff. So I trimmed that away, which I'm going to pull the bumper off in a second to show. But hood line goes well. I've had this hood on for a while, and it's been mated up with the stock bumper. And with the stock bumper, it fits, but the only thing that you have is this gap right here, where this lip is. Because you can see, like, there's a lip that comes up in the center of the GT4 hood. So this lip isn't on my original bumper. So, and this grill isn't there either. So there's a big gap. That's like a 1-inch gap right there. So also for putting the hood on, let me open the. For putting the hood on, yes, there's a lot of stuff done to the engine. For making the hood fit, this latch has to be extended 1 inch. So I extended this 1 inch back when I put the hood on 6 months ago or so. But the hood, this hood is actually a WRC hood. Let me close it for a second. Show the difference between a WRC hood and a regular hood. WRC hood has this rear spoiler right here. The hood spoiler on the back. But for some reason, Toyota added that, and I read it was because, I say I read because I don't really trust everything I read. Somebody could have speculated this. But at 250 kilometers an hour, which is approximately 150 miles an hour, the hood starts to vibrate. And when they added this hood spoiler to the back, it increases the downforce on the front end of the car to about 6 Gs, that's a lot. But 150 miles an hour, 250 kilometers an hour is pretty fast. So they added that. But this releases heat. There's actually I took it out so you can just see straight into the engine bay, but there's supposed to be a little weather protector thing, like a little weather, what do you call it, hood insulation is supposed to be there. But what's the point of having this if you can't see into the, I don't mind if it gets rained on. It'll cool off the turbo, but this is Hawaii, it doesn't rain a lot. This little duct supposedly circulates air around the hood in like a clockwise motion. And then those little reverse scoops there suck out, like as the wind blows over them, it ends up sucking out the hot air. So the hot air gets released that way. I've also taken away my weather stripping to help release heat. This engine tends to run hotter than it's supposed to. 1, because of the stuff I've done to it. 2, because I'm running this crappy little radiator fan here. And 3, because I heard that these Gen 3 3SGTEs have a little bit of a overheating. Not overheating, they run a little hot anyway. Which is why I have this. So 20-pound or 19-pound radiator cap keeps everything cool. Anyway, I'm not talking about the engine, I'm talking about the bumper. So back to the bumper. Right now, since I'm doing this, I'm mimicking how much space needs to be there with a socket and extension right now until I can make a bracket. This isn't permanent, obviously. None of this is just hanging in place. I haven't bolted anything in. It's just sitting there. So I don't want anybody responding and saying, what the heck, why do you have a socket and a ratchet or a socket and an extension there? As you can see, nothing is bolted in. So I'm not going to drive down the street with this because I paid too much money for this bumper just to drive down the street with it without it bolted on. Anyway. So anyway, the fat intercooler, which me and a friend made this bumper support for it to replace my old one a long time ago. And this intercooler, I'm replacing it with a smaller one. I don't have the large turbo that I originally bought. I sold that just because I wanted the money in it. I got the stock turbo, put the stock turbo in. But with this large intercooler, you can see like it's still perfect. Like this is like the largest one I could find. Excess power, haven't had any problems with it. As you can see, it's been there for a while. It's got some oxidation on it, but it's solid. It's a pretty awesome intercooler. I know I've heard some negative things about excess power, but I figure you can't really screw up an intercooler unless you're just awful at welding. So anyway, the plastic I cut off. So I cut off the backs. There's these little mount screws, plastic mount things that sits back here inside the fog light hole. I had to cut that for my intercooler piping. If you don't have a front mount intercooler, then you don't have to worry about it. You just bolt it on. If you have a factory Celica with no front mount intercooler, all you have to do is cut this bumper support, which is what I did. And then you mount it on, like I said, the lower portion. So right now, I'm looking at the bottom. Where my hand is the bottom of the crash bar, bumper support, whatever you want to call it. So there's supposed to be, I read in the link that I was talking about earlier on 6gc.net, I read that there is there's like an 1.5 inch gap if you regardless of which, if you use this bumper support or if you get there's a way that you can modify the ST205, which is the GTFour chassis code. There's a way that you can modify that that crash bar, that bumper support, to where it fits on to the stock frame rails, because the mounts actually don't work. So if you were to look at my mounts right now, there's 2 offset holes on each side, one of which I've cut off, as you can see. The other one was, I think, here, maybe, yeah, no, the other one was here. So I've cut that off. It's gone now, so I'm not using that one anymore. Too bad. I guess what you could do, it doesn't look like it gets in the way of the bumper at all. You could probably leave this little section of the crash bar and cut out this with a jigsaw and cut off the bottom piece if you wanted 2 mount points. In hindsight, I probably could have done that because it doesn't get in the way of anything, but I was following what the thread said, and the thread said cut the whole bottom section off, so I cut the whole bottom section off. Maybe there's a reason behind it. I don't know. But I have all thread in this because I'm going to end up hanging the intercooler from the bottom of this crash bar. So I'm going to finish up doing that, but I thought I would make a little quick video since, and I also said I was pulling the bumper off, didn't I? I'm not going to go against my word. That crackling noise, that is just the threads coming out. Because they're just sitting in place. Alright, it's off. Yeah, I'm using my cell phone to make the video, and that's my text message thing. So the pieces that I had to cut off are these. So this one goes there. Like I said, if you have a factory, if yours is all factory set up, everything is all factory, then you don't need this. But I cut this off so that my intercooler piping would fit. And as you can see, that is a ridiculously large intercooler. Back away, just to show the sheer ginormity. I know it's not a word, but it's a massive intercooler. I've always loved this one just because it's huge. It's awesome. But I would only use this with a ridiculously large turbo, which I don't have anymore. So what was I going to? Oh yeah, so I had to trim a lot of this away, and it doesn't get in the way. It doesn't really. You can't see. Like if I had fog lights here, which if you want to buy the ST205 GT4, the all-wheel drive Celica, if you want to buy those fog lights, I've heard there's different types of fog lights that come with these bumpers, but this is 100 millimeters here, or 4 inches. So, and I've seen some like $30 clear lens fog lights that use a halogen bulb, and they actually have the halo ring around it too. And they're like 30 something bucks. I'm very seriously considering ordering some. They're only like 3 inches deep. They don't look like they get in the way of anything, so they'll still fit around my intercooler piping. But if you don't have an intercooler, front mount intercooler, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, this is pretty much everything I've had to do, and I just finished cutting. I still have dust on my hands. I just finished cutting the plastic on the back of here so that it would fit on. But this is a really nice bumper. Toyota did an amazing job designing this. And oh yeah, one more thing. I haven't checked this out yet, but I read that this was different. The mount hole is different. So in order for me to use the stock, what were they talking about? It's the thread. The thread said, if you want to use, oh, this is a 2-wire. Okay, that's why they. Okay, so this is a 3-wire. So obviously, I would want to use this. I can't. This one's only a 2-wire. So it said you had to cut a little notch in this to make it fit, to make this one fit in the housing, but it works supposedly. You'll have to click that link in the description to see what I'm talking about. No, don't scratch my paint. Come on, one hand. Okay, I can't get it up. Anyway, so supposedly you have to cut a notch here to make that fit in there. That's pretty much it. That's all I had to. That's all I had to do to get this bumper. On. The hood was $500 something on eBay. The bumper was $500 something on eBay. And I waited for a while to find the right ones. The hood that I bought was damaged in shipping a little bit. It was just not damaged on a corner. It's aluminum. It's a really lightweight. I weighed the two. The stock hood was, it's steel. The stock hood was 45 pounds, I think, and this hood is all aluminum, so it's like 15 pounds. Then there's a carbon fiber hood if you wanted to try to find. I don't even know if they make those anymore. The carbon fiber hood like this, and it's like 7 pounds or something like that, according to the website that I found on it. But that's light. It's really light. I would rather stick with the aluminum one because it's Toyota designed. I want to keep it Toyota designed. But I am going to be selling this. Obviously, if you're not in Hawaii, then shipping is going to be nuts. But it probably costs you just as much to have one made than it would to ship it. But I don't know. I'm mentioning that just to mention it. So I'm selling the intercooler and the the support bar. But it's pretty heavy duty. I mean, you look at this thing. It's not even moving. Like my car shakes whenever I move this thing. Like that's how tight it's bolted in. And like the bottom of it, you got a little play, but that's it. Fits behind the stock bumper. Fits behind the GT4 bumper after you cut away some plastic. But anyway, that's all. That's all you have to do to mount the front bumper. Like I said, this has to be extended an inch. So I just cut that there. A friend of mine inserted a piece of metal and raised it up a little bit. That way the hood actually latches like it's supposed to. But that's all. Thanks.